Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2021 version of the Candidates Forum. And thank all the people that have made it tonight. Unfortunately, due to COVID, it makes it harder for everybody to gather like we traditionally do as Métis people. So we're doing this live on Facebook. So tonight our format will be, we're going to start with our area directors, and from there we'll move into our treasurer, our secretary, our VP, and then our presidents. Welcome back. We're going to continue with our candidates forum. The next position is going to be those candidates running for vice president. The first speaker will be Daryl Bernoff. Daryl Bernoff, sorry. Oh yeah, you had that. So Daryl Bernoff will be our first speaker.
I did my best to spread the word in whatever evening.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daryl Bernoff, and I'm your candidate for Vice President for the Métis Nation, Saskatchewan, 2021. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge and thank Eastern Region 2A for the opportunity for me to introduce myself to the nation. I grew up in the small Métis community of Beauval, Saskatchewan. Grew up with my grandparents there. A fluent Metis speaker and still a member of Simply Sick Métis Local 37 in Beauval, Saskatchewan. I spent my entire, pretty much my entire professional career working with Indigenous communities, Indigenous businesses, and Indigenous peoples in terms of building capacity towards economic development and business development. Since 2008, I've immersed myself in the mining industry and Indigenous relations. And the last 2 years, I've been under secondment to the University of Saskatchewan working on community development initiatives for some Northwest community, Northwest Métis communities, with the intention of taking that further throughout the North and in other regions once the program was developed. In addition to my careers, I should say, I've also sat on many local, regional, provincial, and national boards throughout my career. That's myself. You know, I believe in unity. I believe in being honest. I believe in integrity. I humbly ask you for support. I will, represent and work hard and passionately for Métis people by asserting our rights to create economic and cultural opportunities for our people. Again, thank you so much for Eastern Region 3 for allowing me to introduce myself. Thank you.
Mr. Daryl Bernoff. Our next speaker will be Mr. Darren Chamberlain. And again, for those people that have questions for Vice President or presidential candidates, please text 306-621-1973.
Hello, my name is Darren Wayne DeChambeau, better known as TW to a lot of people in the Métis world. This is my 4th time running as Vice President. I came close last time. Pretty near hit 1,100 votes. Thank you for this region as well. You supported me quite good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I wanted to thank all the people that supported me last time around. And if you can support me one more time, I would appreciate it as well. I'm originally from Chamberlain House as well. I was born and raised there. I've lived in Prince Albert for 30 years. I went to university. I went to the First Nations University of Canada. I went to the NORTEC program as well. And I worked at FSI as a policy analyst. These are the three different attributes that I think is going to bode well for a person in the capacity as Vice President for the Métis Nation. Because we're now dealing with government issues. We're not a government right now. We're still in this, I don't know, what do you call it? It's something that's not a government, because when we go and sit down with the federal government, we're going on a snail's pace. And here they're putting us now at the termination tables, is what I call them, because we're not really recognized with very little. And I think that has to change. And that's one of the things that a lot of people have told me when in my travels. I've traveled already for the past 10 days in southern Saskatchewan. And everybody keeps telling me about these, what's happening within the nation. They talk about being left out, being excluded. A lot of locals are being ostracized. They're being left out. They're saying, we're not being recognized. And they say, well, we're not even a government, is what they're saying from themselves. This is what they're saying about the MNS. They said it's top-heavy down. Everybody from the executive level is, once they get in, they forget all about us. They haven't even showed up here down south, they said. We've been totally neglected, left on our own, and we're not happy. So when I've been traveling, I've been hearing many horror stories about some of the communities that, what they're going through with respect to lack of funding, lack of supports, lack of programming, and so on. The list it's huge. Now, the reason why I'm running is that our biggest battle is poverty, and we need to make sure that everybody is treated equally, nobody is left behind, and that's the main reason why I'm running. I want to make sure that we fight for our rights. And we sit down with the federal government, we need to sit down with the Crown and make sure that our rights are respected, and that I think we're going to have to sit down now and negotiate on a lot of areas. One of the things I think needs to happen is that we need to have the Métis land entitlement. That's one of the things we should be pursuing, because we need a land base. Our communities, there's a lot of historical Métis communities. When this was the Red River colony that moved to Saskatchewan, there's a lot of communities there. Like when I went to Willow Bunch, Randy Gaudry said, we don't even have any recognition from MNS. I don't know what's going on. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then he says, yeah, they don't even want us to vote. A lot of people here don't even have their membership, you know? So I don't know, those are some of the issues that I'm hearing down south. And the other things that I think that need to be looked at too is that there needs to be proper consultation. There was some consultation, they said there was, but there really wasn't. What happened was that MNS went around and they sat down for about 6 hours, they talked a lot, but nobody was able to put together their own aspirations, their thoughts, and what they want to see with the Métis Nation. This is what's been going on, is what people are saying. Now, I think what has to happen is that we need to have a proper consultation. We need to go throughout the whole province, and we need to make sure that the Secretary is well aware of the motions that come forward, so that we can really draft up these policies properly within the Métis Nation. I think that's one of the things that needs to happen. And then when they talk about, everybody says transparency and everything else, they talk about it, but it was really ironic because the first 2.5 years of this mandate, the last mandate, they had in-camera sessions. And every time we go to the meetings, we'd be told, please step out, we'll get back to you, we'll reconvene about 4 o'clock, right before we close. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed. A lot of people are telling me that they're tired of that. So me as Vice President, if I get elected, I have a good background. I bring a unique set of skills to the table. Communications, probably 30 years in total in my title. And then also in education, I think this is going to be something, if you combine all these attributes, I think it's going to be something where we are going to have to put together something, some sort of a strategy. Now, we're going to have to, right now is an opportune time because of the Liberals and the NDP. If we can put something together, you know, to make sure that the Métis rights are at the national level with the federal government, I think we can work on that. And I'm prepared to put together a good strategy regarding that. I'm able to do that. And I think it's going to be important that we have the federal government sitting down with the Métis and looking at this land claim process, because I think that's one of the things that's very important is our Aboriginal title is still intact, and we cannot negotiate our inherent rights. So don't forget on May 29th, vote Darren Chamberlain, Vice President, Métis Nation in Saskatchewan. So don't forget, on May 29th, vote Darren Chamberlain, Vice President, Métis Nation in Saskatchewan. So don't forget, May 29th, vote Darren Chamberlain, Vice President, Métis Nation in Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Mr. Chamberlain. One question has come through so far, or we have two now. So one question will allow for Mr. Bernoff to come back and answer after, but we'll ask.
Why don't we do it at the end? If we can all...
Do them all at the end? That will work as well. So we'll do questions at the end.
Oh, okay. Who's next?
Next we have Michelle Leclerc.
Good evening. As you know, my name is Michelle Leclerc. I first want to acknowledge, and I'm not trying to be critical, but generally we would have a prayer. And so I want to acknowledge the elders that are watching tonight and that are probably thinking about us, definitely. I also want to acknowledge the Métis grassroots people of this region who has put this on, and I want to thank Dennis and Derek for organizing this evening. The other thing that I want to acknowledge is the people that are running for this same position. Of course, Darren and Derek and all of the people. I know that Mr. Moran isn't here, but I want to acknowledge all of the people that are here tonight and that are running for the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. It doesn't matter what position you're running for. I think that we all have the people and the nation in our heart, and I thank everyone for doing that. And I think everybody is doing it for the best interest of our nation and our people. It's one thing to talk the talk about capacity building in our locals and in our regions, but it's another issue to put your boots on the ground and work for our people. In the last 4 years, we have not seen the boots on the ground, and our locals and our regions are being dismantled, and that's wrong. The self-government agreement that we are in is not it's not a true self-government agreement. And what we're doing is everything is contingent upon whether or not the federal government agrees with what we decide around our judicial oversight, what we decide about what our Constitution says. They want us to change that. And if you watch what's happened over the last 4 years, we've had the Métis Nation Saskatchewan tell us who we are, what our goals are, what our Constitution says, and that's not right. We are self-determining people, and we have been since long before Louis Riel, and we are now. And our heroes of our nation are the people that have come before us. Not just Louis Riel and Gabriel Dumont and all of those people that have fought for us, but it's people like Clem Chartier, and people say, oh my God, you're running on his ticket. I'm not. But and I'm gonna throw this out there. Without people like Clement Chartier, without Philip Chartier, without Jim Sinclair, without Wayne McKenzie and the heroes that have come before us, we would not be sitting here today. And we have to acknowledge, whether we like each other or not, we are a nation of people. And we need to be proud of that. We need to acknowledge those people. Instead, what are we doing? I've got 1 minute. And I've got so much to say. I think we need to talk about land. We need to talk about our inherent right to land. We need to talk about our inherent right to self-government and what that really means when you put it to the test. We need to talk about our families. We need to take our children back. We need to take our families back. We have to support our elders in our community, not send them away to some other community. We need to support them like we always have, taking care of our people. We need to have good governance. And when we talk about capacity building, the last 4 years, our locals have been forgotten. And every time at election time, people talk about our locals and our people. Enough is enough. Our people deserve a good government. And I believe, and I won't say my name 3 times, Darren DeChambeau, but I believe that I can be part of that change. And I ask on May 29th that you vote for Michelle Leclerc and that I am part of that change. I believe I can be part of that change. And anyone who knows me knows that I will stand by what I say. And I've got a whole lot of other things to talk about: economic prosperity, about housing, about putting our people in homes. First-time home buyers are not those young people. I have plenty of friends who are in their 50s that have never owned a home. But do we support them? We need housing navigators, we need all sorts of things, and my Leclerc cousin is shutting me down right now. Anyway, let's talk more about that, and please vote Michelle Leclerc 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Leclerc. The next speaker will be Del McCauley.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to your community, Yorkton. You always make people welcome, and I took that opportunity. As you all know, probably by now, who I am, but for those that don't, my name is Dale McCauley, and I'm running for Vice President for our nation. And I will ensure through a strong voice, ladies and gentlemen, that our rights are respected and honored for all Métis people in this province. That I pledge to you today. I will mention that I am from Chamberlain House. The first inland training post was actually built there, and that's where everything moved from. Cumberland House is the oldest community in Western Canada, and I'm very proud to be from Cumberland House. I presently reside in Saskatchewan, so you don't have to buy me an expensive suite if I have my own house. And I'm a builder, and that's why I want to run for this position, to build a nation for all people of this Métis homeland that we call the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I'm running is because I was asked to by many people. And I want to thank my nominators for signing my nomination papers. At first it was pretty difficult because all the presidents wanted to sign my nomination, but unfortunately I guess they weren't allowed. So I had to go around, running around and picking some more names. They made it very difficult to get nominated, but when you're on the go, ladies and gentlemen, you're on the go, and I'm there for you. The Métis registration, ladies and gentlemen, it is so crucial to know how many people there are, the population of Saskatchewan, that are Métis. But there's a problem, as was mentioned before. A lot of people are asking, why do I have to get another card when I have so many? Why do I even need a card when I know who I am? And I concur with them. But unfortunately, we do have a constitution. We adopted a Citizenship Act. It's already made years ago. It was there for a long time. So we're going to have to, but there's a clause there. And I'll tell you one thing, that last clause there that's giving up your rights once you accept a card, that's not a Santa Claus right. That's a taking away your rights. And I don't believe in that. That'll be scrapped right away. Because I'll push that at the PMC. We cannot be dictated to who we are. But we will follow the process because it is imperative that we do that. We have to know. And I want to personally say thank you to all the leaders that worked so hard to bring us where we are here today. There's a lot of people from the past that have worked very hard. And I want to acknowledge the people that brought the $2.7 billion to the homeland. But that has to be divided to all the provinces. Saskatchewan gets 25%, Alberta gets 25%, Manitoba 25%, Ontario, a portion of Ontario and British Columbia get 12.5%, and that's in a 10-year agreement. Okay, fine and dandy, that's good. It's a good start. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to work hard, and we got to think smart, and we got to move into the economic development area, because we have to build capacity, and where capacity has to start, and we have to build is our locals. We have to acknowledge our locals. We can't abandon them. Those are our people. Those are our bosses, and we have to listen to them. If we get in as an executive, we are the ones that will be working for the locals, the regions and so forth, but building capacity from our level and decentralizing back to the people, our community. Our people are the government, not the people that are elected. We're the ones that are going to be pushing the envelope and working for them. That's my strong belief. I know every time we have little debates and so forth, I guess little forums, we don't have much time to talk, and there's so much to talk about. Because like there's land claims, there's our governance, and transformation of our inherent rights to a Métis specific treaty. That's what I want to work on. And that includes the land under our Section 35 rights, UNIDRIP, and then our hunting, fishing, and trapping, and gathering, and so forth. We need better health, education, housing, and of course our language has to be respected along with our culture. And also, I'm an advocate for sports and culture. We got to bring our youth back. Our youth need our help, and that's what I want to work for. Along with, we do in our constitution have a portion at the table, our PMC. And there's a woman group and also a youth group, so we got to help those as well. Okay, sorry. I'm long-winded, but a lot of things to do. Thanks for your time for now. They'll be answering questions, right?
We'll be asking questions for all the candidates very shortly. We need to adjust our Facebook feed just to make sure that our battery doesn't go dead. So we're going to. Very good. Adjustments have been made. All right, so questions for VPs. What we're going to do is we're going to have the first two speakers up on either side of the table, and then we'll ask those questions. You guys will have your time to answer those questions. The very same questions that you answer while you're up there, we'll ask the next two candidates. A little bit of on an angle on camera now, but we are prepared for the first question. First question, will VP candidates be resigning from their current employment to commit to the nation?
Thank you for the question. I fully intend on resigning from my current position where I currently employed. I'd just like the nation know that my passion and my commitment to the nation is there. I will be taking a pay cut if I do go to the nation. So then that's an indication of my passion and commitment to the nation. Thank you.
Yes, I will be taking a pay cut as well. I'm currently working for the federal government with the CERB program, and I'll be happy to get away from that. Yeah, so I'll resign.
Okay. Second question for both of you, we will ask the candidates again. So the second question is, what are your plans for elders and youth?
Well, I've been listening to quite a few people, and a lot of people have been, reaching out to me in terms of elders and elders care. A lot of people, especially from where I'm from northern Saskatchewan, a lot I hear is quit sending our elders out. We need supports and elder care facilities in the north, not only in the north, throughout the province. I acknowledge the Elders Lodge that's currently built in Saskatoon. That's a prime example. We need to take from that example and support our youth, our elders more. There's a lot of human cost to removing our elders from our communities. It's a cost, not only a human cost, but to our youth, to our culture and our communities. In terms of youth, I think we need to empower youth more and involve them in the nation, especially in terms of decisions to the youth. We need to create hope and opportunity for these youth. It's the reason I decided to run for provincial office. I see the youth in my community, my family, my friends. Some of those communities are non-sustainable. They're hurting. They're struggling. We need to provide hope and opportunity for our youth. Thank you.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is we need to have a program for the elderly in our communities. We need to have back in the 70s, they used to have these old folks homes that they brought forward. That was St. Clair, and I think we have to try and revive a program such as that so that there's home care that's available to them as well, so that we have nurses that are available on a 24-hour basis. I think that has to happen. And then for the youth, we need to try and put together programming for the youth, not only in the school systems, but also in the community level. There's got to be funding available for K-12. We need to have, instead of just backpacks, I think we need to have more funding. You know, there's some places that the poverty is pretty bad. I think we need to have better programming for the youth, and that'll enable them to succeed.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll invite the next two candidates up to answer. So we do have a series of questions that have come in, so not to lose track of the questions, I'm going to do 3, and the next two will answer those first 3, and then we will ask you an additional 3, and our candidates will return. Just to make it fair, make sure everybody has an opportunity to not only respond, but we get through as many questions as we can. So the first question was for the VPs if they plan to resign from their current positions in order to represent the nation.
Ladies first, I'm a gentleman.
Okay, so I guess on that first question, I think I'm going to just kind of make it a little bit of a two-part question. Of course, I intend on resigning because I think that the position of vice president is so vitally important. I have, since April 1st, taken a leave from my job without pay. I understand that currently, with the Métis Nation Saskatchewan, that the current incumbents didn't have to resign, or not resign, but take a leave of absence. So they are currently getting paid during this time, which I think is, we'll have to look at our Constitution and the Election Act fairly soon to have a look at that. Do you want me to answer the second question as well?
No, we'll let
Okay.
Dale do the first one,
Sure.
and we'll go to the second one.
Good question. Good question.
The first question was, do VPs plan on resigning their current employment to represent the nation?
That's an easy one. I don't have a job right now. And I'm going to put my 100% plus to this job, because we have a lot of work to do. Thank you.
And since you still have the mic, we'll move to the second question, or what are your plans for elders and youth? What are your plans for elders and youth?
Okay, I've been volunteering a lot of my years, along with my wife, and with the youth. We've been running the canoe kayaking for many years in the Northern Games, the Indian Summer Games, and for the youth, we got to work hard for the youth. Our youth are suffering. They're crying out there. They want help, and that's what we'll do. We got to seriously work and build the youth, because these are our future leaders. Very, very crucial that we work for them. Was there a portion there on the elders too, or?
Yeah, elders and youth.
Okay, on the elders, of course we have to help them, and those are immediate bread and butter issues that we have to deal with now. We can't wait for them to just be. Those are the builders of our nation. Those are the ones that work so hard to bring us where we are here today. Michelle keeps staring at me, I don't know why. She's making me nervous. Anyway, as if I'd be nervous. No one makes me nervous. I lobbied many places in my time, as you all know. I've been in different capacities. I've been a mayor, a school board member, and all this and that. But the reason why I brought those up is because I took guidance from the elders. I took guidance from them. And that's what we have to do. Our elders are what do you call it, encyclopedias and our knowledge keepers. Those are our artists, our professors, they know so much. We gotta listen to them and do whatever we can for them. And we gotta build places for them, like especially up north. We can't sip them out and let them go out there because they get lonely, and we gotta help them on their other expenses, because there's so much expenses that they can't afford. And certainly I'll advocate for them. Lots of work, ladies and gentlemen, and if we have a minute to try and answer these questions, it's not enough, but I have one more minute?
30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds. As everybody has been stating here, like on May 29th, vote for a strong leader, someone that's very accountable, transparent, someone that'll work hard. I know how to run my own wallet. My wallet. If you know how to run your wallet, you know how to run an institution, you know how to run a community, you'll know how to run a nation. And I want to be part of that for the people that I represent. And that's the grassroots people. The grassroots people, ladies and gentlemen, they're out there right now crying, and they need our help. So with that, May 29th, don't ever forget that date and make history. Vote Dale McCauley, and I will work hard for you. That is my pledge. Thank you very much.
Michelle, the barrier question again, what are your plans for elders and youth?
I feel like I have to stand up, so I'm going to stand up. Okay, so I guess in terms of, I'm going to start with the elders, because they are so important, as Dale said, in our community, without a doubt. Recently, the last couple of years, I've been involved in raising funds to build an elders lodge in Saskatchewan, which we had a sod turning. But I think regardless of whether or not you're talking about elders or you're talking about youth, the issues that arise have to come from elders and they have to come from youth. And so when we were looking at the Elders Lodge, we looked at things that the elders were talking about, that they still needed that cultural connection in that lodge, that they still needed a plan for when they became too old to live in that Elders Lodge. Could we think outside the box and create different levels of care for them? And so those were the things that we talked about, and those were the things that we contemplated, and is going to be part of our Elders Lodge that is being built as we speak. I've talked to elders in the north, and there's so many elders, especially in the north, that are having to leave their communities of Alacrosse, Beauval, La Loche, losing that connection to their kids and their grandkids, which kind of brings in issues around youth. But we need to start thinking about, there's a lot of money out there for housing right now, and people think that housing needs to be, it can be part of an economic development plan, it can be part of a circle of care plan for our elders and for our young people. We need to bring young people together with our elders. I think we're losing that connection. In terms of youth, and I could go on about that, but I know I don't have very much time and you're going to cut me off right away. But in terms of youth, I think it's vitally important that we talk to youth. I think my thing's going, whatever. that we talk to youth about what they need. When we talk about youth and some of the issues that they're facing, like suicide, depression, anxiety, which they're all dealing with right now, especially with COVID. Thank you. Hi. So we need to consult the youth. It's easy for us as adults, and now I'm in my middle ages, 55, to try and say, this is what you need. We can't do that. The youth have talked about, the impact in their community and youth suicide, youth programming, university education, all of that. We need to really encourage, and we've talked about, having youth groups throughout the Métis Nation for years, and it never really happens where we have the voice of the youth, and that voice is so vitally important because they are our leaders. And what I've experienced being involved with the Métis Nation for most of my life is the fact that the youth have sort of fallen back and they haven't been as involved as we'd like them to be. And so we need to talk to the youth about what they want and about how we can move forward with them. So I guess that's what I would have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move to the next question. Mr. McCullough, do you want to join back up? We'll move to the next questions for you two, and then we'll go to the other two candidates afterwards. So this next question is, do you think the MNS salary increase to 100,000 plus without having education or experience has struck interest for a lot of new candidates wanting election into the MNS this year?
Well, I wouldn't know. I don't really know what they make. To tell you the truth, I heard they make 173,000 if you're a president, and I don't know what the vice president makes, because no one wants to tell us anything. No accountability. When you try to ask a question, they shut you down. So I don't know, but wages have to be given to people that work. We got to put food on the table. We got to help out their families and other families and so forth. We got to. Everybody that has a position should be paid. Like in the federal government and all the other provincial government, the municipalities, everybody gets paid. A decent wage, is okay. So I cannot set the wage here today, and that's kind of irrelevant to be trying to come up with a concrete answer, because it's not me that's going to decide on that. It'll be the whole provincial Métis Council, I guess, is the one that set their own wages. I don't know. I think it should be an independent body that should be setting wages, same way that the other levels of government do it. They have a commission and the legislation that states what their wages are. So I don't really know what the vice president makes. So, but a little salary would be okay, I guess. Everybody needs to get paid somewhat, and I believe we'll be deserving, because this is a big job and a big responsibility. So with that, thank you for the question.
Well, when I look at the candidates that are running this time around, I don't see as many candidates actually running as they were last time, and there wasn't a wage. So I think that, I think as Dale said, people need to get paid for the work that they do. I think that the increases of wages in the last little while have been absolutely ridiculous. But at the end of the day, I think you attract as well when you're paying for a job well done, people like Daryl Bernoff and others that have passion for their community, but that are also very professional people and are going to be able to, take that pay cut or what have you. Same with me, I'm not taking a pay cut, but I'm doing this for the nation. I think people deserve to be paid for the work that they do, but at the same time, I think that if you asked me about the increase and the back pay that people took this last little while for whatever work was done, I think it is exorbitant. And when you think about the fact that that money is paid to these individuals who some people aren't representing a lot of people, and that our community capacity is lacking, and we're putting money towards paid individuals when our people that are on the ground working hard in the communities, local presidents, are paid nothing. So I think that we really have to have a look at that around, you know, these guys in the community and women in the community are working so hard, and then the executive level are getting paid this crazy amount of money. No, I think that we need to look at that. I also think when you look at, like I said, from last election, there's actually less people running this time and their paid positions. So I appreciate everybody who's running regardless, but I really, really believe that we need to have a look at that.
And the next question for the whole panel. There is rumor of the dissolving of the locals. So where do the VP candidates stand on this?
Did all VPs get to answer that last question? They'll get called back up again.
Well, I think anybody who knows me knows that this is how I feel about our locals. Our locals are the heart of our nation. We take direction from our locals. If we didn't have our locals, we wouldn't have a nation. Because in our locals are our people. And what I've seen happen, and one of the reasons why I'm running, is because I've seen the locals being disrespected. When we're talking about locals, again, we're talking about our people not being recognized. Our provincial council will recognize locals in other provinces as being historic Métis communities, and I'm not saying that they're not. But at the same time, they will say locals in our community are not locals, and those people do not belong to our nation, and that is wrong. And that's what's happening. And we need to change that. We need to give the power back to the people, because those people are who we are. And part of that is because the federal government is telling us to make sure that we're having our governance structure the way that they want us to have our governance structure. That our people are the people that they think are our people. The power has to come back to our people. It has to come back to our local. And I'm not saying that because it's election time, because we all know that that's what happens at election time. Let's talk about the people. Let's talk about the locals. Let's talk about the regions. And then 2 months later, forget about it. That can't happen anymore, because we are at risk of losing our rights to land, to our inherent rights, to our harvesting rights, to all of those things that make us who we are. And that's what's happened in the last 4 years. And somebody who might be the vice president can stand up and say, it wasn't me. But when you stand by and you watch our people being thrown out of our nation, it is you. And it's all of you people that agreed that that was okay. It's not okay. Those people belong to our nation. There are cousins, there are mothers, there are sisters, there are brothers, there are uncles or aunts. Enough is enough. And I wouldn't be sitting here putting myself out as a candidate in this election if I wasn't so disgusted with what's going on.
You guys guys had the first two. They had two, the same two that you had. They have two more. You'll have those same two.
Same two?
Yeah. And where was that other question?
I'll just repeat the question for you here. So the rumor of dissolving of the locals. There's the question, where did the VP candidate, excuse me, where did the VP candidate stand on this? So the question is, dissolving of locals, where do you stand?
I'll even stand up to answer that question, because I will stand up for the locals. The locals are our nation. Those are the ones that represent the people at the home level. And then those are the bosses of the regional directors. And then the regional directors take it to the PMC. And that's where the PMC should be just advocating for them to build them up, not try and destroy them. That's going backwards, and we're going to run our nation, and we'll have nothing. Our people are our nation. Our people are our government. And if we don't respect our locals and try to dissolve them, we're going backwards, and you know what's going to happen? We won't have a nation. It'll be gone. It'll be gone. We can't, who's going to want input if you're going to be abandoned? It's like abandoned clients when you represent them. You don't do that. You never run away from them. You don't do that. You have to respect each of our members, our nation. That's our nation, and those are our people. And I get angry when I hear people trying to put down our own people, especially our elders, that worked so hard to bring us where we are today. And I go back and I'll say again, I want to say thank you to all the leaders in the past that worked so hard to bring us where we are. We cannot go backwards. And if we do it, got rid of our locals, we can't even do that anyway. It's in our Constitution. We have to go through a constitutional reform, and from there it has to be ratified at a General Assembly. You think the locals are going to just sit there this time and just put their hands up? I don't think so. They're going to defend themselves. They're like a rebellion. You know, there'll be battle. No one is going to get rid of the locals, not after working this hard to bring them where we are today. And I stand with the locals, not only 100%, but 2,000, 3,000, 4,000%. And when you have my word, I'll defend you anytime, any place, and everywhere. And no government is going to tell us how to run our own affairs. We are our own government. We'll run it the way we want. But there's not going to be no dictatorship from the top-down level. We cannot work from top. We got to work from the bottom. And that's how we'll bring our people together, and we'll build a nation together. If we don't have them, goodbye nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll invite Daryl and Darren up to answer the same two questions. All right, gentlemen, the first question that was asked is, do you think that the MNS salary increase to 100,000 plus without having education or experience has struck interest for a lot of new candidates wanting election into the MNS this year?
First of all, I'd like to echo Dale's comments. I don't know what the executive makes. I don't even know what the president makes, but like I said, I would be taking a pay cut going into this. And I do agree that this needs to be looked at in terms of constitutional and legislative and policy reform. I think this definitely needs to be on the table at that. In terms of remuneration or salaries for the executive And
Okay, thank you. I will reiterate the question. Do you think that the MNS salary increase to $100,000 plus without having education or experience has struck interest for a lot of new candidates wanting election into the MNS this year?
I've noticed a few people jumping on board. This is my 4th time running as vice president. When I first started this odyssey, it was there was no money involved. And the reason why I ran is to come forward and help the people. But I think it is it's inappropriate for people that have no education, no experience, no nothing to be making those types of salaries. I think it's pretty crazy the amount of travel as well that they have. You know, I hear horror stories. People are saying that they're making a couple $100,000 in travel, along with their pay, what they're getting. You know, so no, I don't agree with that. I think it has to come back to the people. It's the people that will decide at the end of the day. And this regime is what I like to call them. They're making their own decisions on how much they get paid, and I think it's totally wrong. It's borderline fraud is what they're doing, you know, making their own salaries and giving themselves raises. There's no need for that. You know, it's a joke out there when you look at the province and the feds are looking at us and they're saying, look at these guys, you know. And then here they are, they're promoting that, the federal government. They're going ahead, they're promoting that. When you have the new funding formula that we are getting from Ottawa, a lot of this stuff has to make its way to cabinet. And I don't understand how the federal government is allowing this to happen. You know, it's totally wrong, and I think it should quit. It should stop. But it'll be up to us. It'll be up to the person that gets in as vice president that will be able to address that and bring the salaries down a little bit at least, you know, but because you still have to pay bills. You still have to worry about your mortgage, you worry about your children and everything else, you know, like insurance and the whole 9 yards. So that's my answer.
And the next question, there is rumor of dissolving of the locals. Where do the VP candidates stand on this? So dissolving of the locals.
Dissolving of the locals, it's, I don't know, that's crazy, because the rights-bearing communities are the locals. That's where we get our rights. That's where everything is. If we are going to be sitting down negotiating with the Crown on our land title, it's going to be the locals that we're going to be looking at. It's not going to be the MNS. It's not going to be the executive. It's going to be the locals. That's where our land base is. That's where all our power comes from. It comes from the people. We can't be dissolving any kind of locals anywhere. They're crazy. Because when the time comes when we negotiate the land claim, the locals will be number one. That is where our power flows from, is from the locals. Those are the rights-bearing communities.
thank you. I myself, I am totally against dissolving locals, and I'll reiterate that is where the rights lie, is at the local level. You know, in fact, we should be empowering the Métis locals, the people, the locals and the regional government by updating the MNS constitution, legislation and policies. We need to mobilize the vision of the Métis people, but you know, in terms of providing better facilities, also modernizing programs and services, and doing this with modern communications systems. And we also need to consult our Métis people and communities to determine the best way of restructuring the MNS government structures, to recognize the unique needs and histories and potential of northern, rural, and urban populations. So again, the rights lie at the local level, and you cannot dissolve the local level. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our candidates.